probably a couple more people coming in, but you know, I'll rant on here for a couple more minutes anyway before you guys start up. So they will be coming in time, I'm sure. Welcome everybody to another Quick Start seminar. This one is all about backcountry skiing and ski touring with potentially a little bit of snowshoeing in there too. It all depends on what you guys want to hear. My name is Mike Tischler. I'm a trip leader and senior instructor with the Colorado Mountain School, and I am your host for this evening. And this is, I think, maybe number 15 or 16 of those webinars that have started since, I think, end of March or beginning of April was the first one. They all had or have a common theme, that's navigation and trip planning. We will continue this in next year. And I've listed here the upcoming webinars for next year. We're doing this on a monthly basis, and I will co-host those with Anna Liao, who's has graciously volunteered to help me out here next year. And so we're gonna probably alternate those webinars between her and me in terms of who's gonna host it. But tonight, we wanna hear all about ski touring. And I'm very grateful that Alan Abt and Kay Turnbaugh have volunteered to tell us all something about how to plan for it, how to do it, best places to go to, what apps to use, all the good stuff when you want to go out there and want to ski in the backcountry. Both Alan and Kay are prolific authors, and I put some of their books here on the lower right. Most notably, the just released ski touring routes. I think it's a couple of months old that Alan and Kay just published through the Colorado Mountain Club Press. But there's other ones too, snowshoe routes, as you can see. Alan did, I think, a few years back, and then both did together a general hiking one called Denver, Boulder, Fort Collins, and Rocky Mountain National Park. And Kay has a website where she has even more books to choose from. So I encourage everybody to check those out. If you want to get some of the CMC Press books, if you're a member, you have a 20% off, and you can go through a cmcpress.org website. With a 20%, it's probably just as cheap as Amazon, and the club would get more money from that if you would go through the website rather than go through Amazon. But all of those books are, I think, available through Amazon. Before we get started, before I hand it over, I want to quickly thank Anna, Robbie Monsma, and Maddie Miller, who helped me organize these things on a monthly basis. Without them, those webinars would not be possible. As Alan already mentioned a few minutes ago, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to use the chat box. We have quite a few people signed up here, so the chat box is probably the easiest one. And if you don't mind, to conserve bandwidth, if you don't need the video, just turn it off. That way we don't get any hiccups in terms of listening to Alan and Kay. I think that's all I wanted to say, and so I'm going to unshare my screen now, and then Kay can share her screen, and we can get started.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. We will hopefully have some decent snow here in the near future. We've had just enough snow for me to get out about 8 times, but that's because I live in Netherlands, so I can go out in 5 minutes, be on a trail, or 15, 20 minutes to Brainerd. But, you know, with snow, and then it'd be sort of skiable on rock skis for a couple of days and then not. So if you didn't have rock skis, you wouldn't want to go out there with the regular skis. And we're going to talk about equipment. The new book, Ski Touring, has 95 trails. 35 of them are beginner to advanced beginner, borderline intermediate. I take that back, 30. 35 are intermediate to advanced, and 20 are winter mountaineering mountains and summits. And Kay, we're not seeing your screen.
You're not. Okay. Let me.
So the book has a wide range of trails. The 30 beginner family trails you can use if you're a beginner, if you want to take kids out. So we're going to back up a little bit, a couple of slides. All right, so there's
Can you see it now?
You can see it now, thank you,
Yes,
Kate.
we see it.
That's the ski touring routes book I was just talking about, 95 Trails for All Abilities. The picture on the cover is actually Flat Top Mountain in Rocky Mountain National Park. And there's actually a real nice place to ski there that's not avalanchy, so it's a good destination. The picture of the two people standing there was over by the Moffat Tunnel, Arapahoe Lakes Trail. So what we do in our book is we talk about the gear, different kinds of equipment for skiing. And in the snowshoeing book, we talk about snowshoeing equipment. And basically, you know, you need the 10 essentials, and you want to make sure that you can find your way back to your car. And we'll get into navigation and route finding and selecting a trail in a minute. And the book, the ski touring book, has information for every trail. We have the distance to be traveled, the elevation gain, the degree of difficulty, the ski skill level you need, the avalanche danger, and then a good description of the route itself and where the best places to ski if you're on Audubon Peak or Bierstadt or Flat Top. Most of the trails in the book are not aren't avalanche dangerous. In other words, they're not very hazardous. So where you really need to worry about avalanches is if you're going above tree line, you're winter mountaineering, and you're at slope above 30 degrees. So 30 to 45 degrees is where most avalanches happen. And 30 degrees is really a black slope in a ski area, if you've ever been on a black slope. And the skis that are up vary. The ones on the left are what we call skinny skis. They're the most narrow skis. They're good for Nordic ski areas, relatively flat or rolling terrain. Skis in the middle are a little bit wider. I'd call them mid-width. And the skis on the right are wide skis, also known as fat skis. And those are either telemark skis or alpine touring skis, which you'll want if it's a steeper slope or deeper snow. The basic rule of thumb is the deeper the snow, the steeper the slope, the wider the ski. The skis on the left and in the center have climbing patterns on the bottom. And in some cases, skinny skis don't have climbing patterns and they're waxable. So if you know what wax to use, they climb very well. But you need to know the temperature of the snow or the approximate air temperature to get the right wax on the bottom of the ski. That's one reason I think the waxless ski, the pattern ski, has become so popular, because you don't have to mess around with temperatures. Sometimes you get the wrong wax on, and then either the skis don't grip or they grip too well and you get a bunch of snow on the bottom. The skis on the right, when you're climbing, it's usually you have to put some skins on the bottom, and the skin technology has gotten really good. The skins let you climb straight uphill without sliding backwards, and then you can take them off and ski downhill. If you're new to the sport, you know, and you're worried about the terrain, let's say you're a downhill skier, you're just going backcountry for the first time, and you're in a steep area with a lot of trees, and you're wondering if you're going to be able to make turns fast enough to avoid embracing those trees, leave your skins on. You can leave the skins on, they'll still glide downhill, but you'll have much more control of your speed. And if you are a downhill skier and you're learning how to take it into the backcountry, you know, the same skills apply. If you're a telemark skier or a parallel skier, traversing and skiing uphill is what will save you from getting out of control and going too fast. If you are going to be skiing in trees, in steep terrain, a helmet is a really good idea. I find that even skinny little tree branches don't move when you run into them. They're a lot harder than your head. So it's a good idea to carry that helmet along, strap it to your pack if it's a relatively warm day, and put it on when you're ready to go downhill. And you'll have some poles. If you're in a Nordic ski area, the poles have very small baskets. And you can propel yourself on groomed terrain. If you're in the backcountry, you want baskets on the end of those poles that are large so they don't sink down into the 2 or 3 or 4 feet of snow that are out there. Other things I like to bring along are a warm liquid. There's some great lightweight thermoses out there now. Bring along some hot tea, some hot chocolate, coffee, anything that you like to drink that'll help keep you warm. And you will need water because you do get dehydrated.
And I like to bring chocolate, definitely.
Yeah, if you're not bringing hot chocolate, definitely bring chocolate. You need lots of energy, and you will expend more energy on snow, whether you're on snowshoes or skis, than you would if you were hiking. So be conservative on your estimates. People often say to me, well, how fast can I go? How long will it take me to do this trail? We don't have time estimates. We do have distance and elevation gain. And I always say, if you're going to gain 1,000 feet, allow an hour. And when you're in the backcountry in the winter, you never know what the snow conditions are like. It's a good idea to assume it's going to take you 30 minutes, best case, to 1 hour, worst case, per mile. Now, if you're in a Nordic ski area and the trails are groomed, you can go a lot faster than that if you're a good skier. But in the backcountry, conditions can vary widely on the same day, on the same trail. So be conservative. Remember, the days are short from now until almost March. So if you're going to do a summit, take a headlamp along, start at dawn, and assume you're going to be coming out in the dark. And estimate, see how long it takes to get up. You will, of course, go faster on skis going downhill. But remember that if you're doing this for the first time, you may be a little concerned about going too fast, and you may end up going a lot slower than you think. I like to take along a good day pack where I can carry the skis, because a lot of these trails, if you're doing a summit, you get about halfway up Audubon or James Peak or Bierstadt, and all of a sudden you have a quarter mile of rocks and dirt to get over. So it's good to be able to put those skis on your day pack and carry them for short periods if necessary. So, and that day pack is great for dressing in layers, peeling off layers as you get too warm, putting on layers if you get too cold. I like to take heating packets for the hands and the feet, not only for myself, but for friends or family that are along. There's no reason to be miserable out there. The main thing is you want to have fun, you want to be comfortable, and you want to stay energized. Always take a warm hat. Some people feel like, well, gee, it's sunny out, it's warm, I don't need a hat. I won't take a hat. 2 hours later, it's snowing sideways. You can get very hypothermic and in a dangerous situation if you don't have a hat or a jacket with a hood on it. So make sure you have warm clothing. Don't worry about hat hair. Everybody will have it. So Kay, am I forgetting anything in terms of essential gear?
Water.
Oh,
Water,
yeah,
you,
hot liquid
you,
and water.
you may not feel thirsty, but definitely stay hydrated. You want to take
And remember that water will freeze if it's not in a thermos or if it's not put away inside your backpack. And it may freeze anyway if it's 0 degrees. So be prepared because the weather, as you know, on the mountains is pretty unpredictable. It can change dramatically. So if you're leaving in sun, be prepared for snow and vice versa. And sunscreen is a good idea. You can really get fried in the winter. Okay, I think we can go on. If anybody has any questions about gear, please put it into the chat. If you're brand new to skiing, let me back up for a second. If you haven't decided, do I want to snowshoe or do I want to ski? The main difference between skiing and snowshoeing is falling. If you don't want to fall or don't want to fall very often, snowshoes are a good choice. If you want to ski and learn how to ski, you will fall. The main thing is planning your fall. Fall on your side. Don't do face plants. Get yourself positioned. I teach skiing at Eldora in the handicap program I have for about 17 years. And you want to get what we call a Superman stance and get your body weight positioned over those skis so you're not leaning back. You won't flip out and fall back on the back of your head, and you won't do a face plant. Take a lesson. If you've never skied before, this is Eldora's Nordic Center, and this is the beginner lanes where you can learn how to slide and walk in skis. And you're just basically sliding your feet, digging in those patterns on those skinny skis, and learning how to slide and glide. It's a wonderful feeling. And then you can take those skills onto the hills at Eldora. So in our book, we cover 3 Nordic ski areas, and we have beginner trails as well as advanced expert trails. Eldora has both. And, you know, you can rent skis, boots, and poles and get a lesson, a Nordic lesson, for the same price or less than a downhill ticket. If you've never downhill skied and you want to do that, I also recommend a lesson. It's much more expensive. One of the big deterrents is the price of the gear. So it's a good idea to rent at first, get used to the skis, see if you really want to do the sport, and invest hundreds or even $1,000 in your equipment. So Eldora is one area we cover, Nordic area. There's Devil's Thumb, where I was on the ski patrol for 10 years. And there's also Rocky, help me, Kay, YMCA of the Rockies.
Snow Mountain Ranch, the
They all have good beginner trails, intermediate trails, and advanced trails. Let me just check the chat, see if anybody has any questions that we could answer right now.
No question yet, just a comment about the Camelback type hydration packs. Do you guys have any experience if that works when you're out there and it's really cold?
Yeah, they will freeze if, you know, a lot of times you can get Camelbacks that are insulated, and I have one that is insulated, but if I don't keep the tube in my jacket, even with insulation, it will freeze. So that's the downside of the Camelback. Okay, so choosing a route. This is Berthoud Pass. And you know, this time of the year, we've had pretty mediocre snow and most of the ski areas are still making snow. But Berthoud Pass is 11,000 feet and above. So if there is any good snow, it's going to be at that kind of elevation. This is an avalanche that happened above the Broom Hut, which is on the Second Creek Trail. Below the Broom Hut, there is no avalanche danger. Above the Broom Hut, there isn't for about half a mile, and then there is. So really you want to investigate the trail. Kay did great maps for every trail in our book. And so you want to look up the trail, see what the avalanche danger is, see what the skill level is, what kind of skis you need. And then there's some good apps you can use to determine the avalanche danger in that particular trail. There's a free one called CalTopo, CalTopo, and you can look at the trail and the avalanche zones. The Colorado Avalanche Information Center is the best information in the state. On a daily basis, you can get from the CAIC website forecasts for the entire different parts of the state and avalanche danger for different parts of the state. And you can make a decision. You know, I really think if it's extreme avalanche danger, I am not going anywhere near steep slopes. And there are lots of trails in our book and lots of trails in places like Rocky Mountain National Park and many other places that have no avalanche danger. You know, a lot of times it's considerable. And, you know, even then, you can look at the CAIC website, and sometimes you'll find that one part of the state has higher avalanche danger than the other. The key issue is slope angle. 30 degrees to 45 degrees is where most avalanches happen. And most of them happen during and immediately after snowstorms. So if you're going to go winter mountaineering, I would say don't go out in a snowstorm and try to climb to a summit. Whiteouts happen even with the best navigation tools, and you can get turned around, and why risk your life? If it's a real snowy day, do something easier where it's easy to do the route finding and there's no avalanche danger. Right after a snowstorm, check the Avalanche Center website, check the CalTopo. On the CalTopo map in the lower left corner, you can see the orange reddish areas are marked where there's avalanche danger. And that kind of looks like James Peak. The route up the middle to James Peak has no avalanche danger. And the slopes on either side fall off dramatically and do have avalanche danger. So that's actually a very good 13er that's fairly safe most of the time. CoTrex also is free, and it allows you to download maps, and it will track you on the trail as you go along, as does Gaia GPS. The downside of telephone apps or GPS units is in cold weather, the batteries usually die. So there's nothing like a printed out map, good old hard copy paper, and a regular old compass that are going to not go dead on you when you're out in the backcountry. You can get out there and look at the map online or on your phone before you get out there, plan your route, look at the avalanche danger online, look at it on CalTopo, and decide what level of risk you want to take on a given day. So I think there's lots of things you can do to assure yourself of being safe. If you're going to do winter mountaineering, you need to take at least an avalanche safety awareness course, and there's a free one online from the Colorado Mountain Club. There are also free videos on the Colorado Avalanche Information Center website, avalanche.state.colorado.us. So if you haven't had an avalanche course, take a look at the avalanche safety awareness. And if you want to do winter mountaineering, go above tree line and go onto summits. I highly recommend you take an avalanche course and get certified. Now, one of the things that's really critical to have along is a compass. You know, you start off on the trail and you head up, and you might have tracks like that that are very visible, and you can see exactly where you came from, and you figure you're just going to follow your tracks back to the car. Those clouds up on the mountain come swooping down. The next thing you know, it's snowing an inch every 30 minutes. The wind blows over those tracks, and you can't see anything. So, if you have a map and a compass, or even just a compass, check when you leave your vehicle in the parking lot and see which direction are you going in when you're leaving to go on that trail, north, east, south, or west. If you're going north, you'll need to go south to get back to your car. If you're going west, you'll need to go east to get back to your car. Now, some of these trails will change direction. So if you see the trail making a swooping turn, check your compass, check where you are, keep an eye on the landmarks. Some of these trails have the blue diamond markers. A lot of them do not. So, you'll have to be ready to navigate. Nice thing about having a book, we have a thorough description of the trail with some hints on where are the most skiable slopes. And, you don't have to necessarily do the whole 5 or 10 or 12 miles in one day. If you get out there and the snow is challenging, or you don't have the energy level you thought you were going to have, go out for a mile or two and come back in. That sometimes, 1, 2, 3, 4 miles can be 2 to 4 hours. And the main thing is you want to have fun. So fun is the main goal. Safety is the other goal. And maybe you'll learn something, maybe you won't. So be safe, have fun, and don't be too goal-oriented. Especially if you have newcomers with you, you don't want to run them into the ground and make them wish they didn't come along. You want them to have fun so they'll go back out there with you the next time. And this particular trail, I believe, is on Berthoud Pass, and I believe it's the Second Creek Trail. As you can see, no avalanche danger below the hut. All right, now we're going to talk about trails. I'll do a quick check of the chat and see if there are any questions.
We had a couple of questions, Alan. One was, David was asking for any good resources, recommendations for both Nordic and downhill skiing lessons.
What kind of, I'm sorry, what's the question?
Any good resources or recommendations for a Nordic or downhill skiing lessons?
Yeah, I think any of the Nordic areas like Eldora, Double Sum, which is over by Winter Park, YMCA of the Rockies, they all have good lessons. They all have good beginner terrain. And also Breckenridge has a good Nordic area. There's a teaching area in Dillon, part of the Breckenridge setup. There's a Nordic area at Steamboat. We're going to be talking about Rabbit Ears Pass. So a lot of good Nordic areas around for lessons. Every downhill area also teaches lessons. So if you've never had a lesson and you're new to backcountry skiing, I highly recommend starting with the Nordic lesson and, just rent all the equipment. And, for about $100, you can probably get the skis, boots, and poles and the lesson for the day and come away with some great skills that you can take into the backcountry. Does that answer the question? Okay, now we're going to we'll do some trails. This is Flat Top Mountain, and this is from the Bear Lake Trail. Rocky Mountain National Park is a great place to start for backcountry skiing if you haven't done it before, or if you want to take your family. The trails are almost all very safe. It does cost, I believe, $25 at least for the day, although I think that's multiple day. And all the trails are heavily used, so it's almost impossible to get lost. There are ranger-led snowshoe days, and there probably are some ranger-led hikes. And the Colorado Mountain Club offers introductory sessions as well as outings. Flat Top Mountain, which is on the right of this picture, is a great destination for intermediate to advanced and expert skiers. You don't have to ski those steep couloirs. The picture on the front of our book is a really nice low angle slope with virtually no avalanche danger off to the right on Flat Top. You know, one thing I find in going to the summits at this time of year, as I mentioned, start at dawn, and keep in mind it's a short day, is usually before you get to the summit, there's going to be a windy section, and there's going to be a section that's completely blown free of snow. So a lot of times the lower slopes are actually more skiable than the summit. So keep that in mind. In the case of Flat Top Mountain, there's a southeast facing slope off of the Lake Helene Trail. That's one of the more skiable slopes, and that's where the picture on the cover of the book came from. The highest point you can see in this picture on Flat Top, you can get to on snowshoes or skis in a couple of hours. There's no avalanche danger, and you have spectacular views of Bear Lake and Longs Peak. Trail Ridge Road, great place to go in the winter. No avalanche danger. Really nice out and back trail from the road closure, and you can ski over to the top of the Hidden Valley ski area. Here again, this is for skinny skis. You don't need telemark or alpine touring unless you're going to ski in the Hidden Valley. Parts of this road are real windy, and parts of it may get blown free of snow, and you might have to carry your skis part of the way. But it's great to be on it without cars, looking at the Mummy Range. Really fun place to go. If you want to ski Hidden Valley, you can do that from the bottom or from the top of Trail Ridge. Okay, next one. That's Alan Stark, who was a former publisher at Colorado Mountain Club. The Lake Helene Trail is where you access a great slope on the southeast side of Flat Top Mountain. If you keep going, you'll get this great view of Notch Top. You probably don't want to go beyond that, because if you get onto the Fern Lake Trail, right now it's closed because of the fire. And if they do reopen it, that's where you get into some avalanche danger. There's none on the Lake Helene Trail. Okay, next trail. But you know, Rocky Park, it's hard to beat it for the scenery. And this is a great place for beginners. You can go around Bear Lake. That's one place that's pretty flat and easy. If you want to go to an easy lake, Nymph Lake is a short route for beginners right from Bear Lake. And then if you're a more advanced skier, you can go to Dream Lake or Emerald Lake, and you have great views of Hallett's Peak and Flat Top Mountain. Snowshoers love these trails too. So if you want to get there before the trail is hard packed, get there early. Dream and Emerald Lake are intermediate level. You can ski these with skinny skis. We say what kind of ski you need for each trail, so you don't have to guess. You don't really need AT or tele skis for these trails. Next. So anyway, Rocky Park's a great place to go, particularly if there's avalanche danger or it's snowing. As I said, Bear Lake, that's a great view of Flat Top and Hallett's, and you can just go right all the way around the Bear Lake Trail with the family. And there's actually a little section for sledding, as there is at Hidden Valley. Okay, Kay, next one. Sprague Lake, another great place for beginners and families. It's flat. It's a mile or two to go around the lake. No avalanche danger, great views of Glacier Gorge and Hallett's Peak. If you're a more advanced skier and you want a little adventure, we do have some side trails you can go on up to the North Longs Peak Trail and up that way. And you can go down to Glacier Gorge Campground, which is a nice round trip outing. This is all skinny skis. You don't need any tele or telemark skis, and there's no avalanche danger. Okay, next one. Okay, if you're a more advanced skier, and you know, particularly as you have downhill skills, we're taking them into the backcountry. These are a couple of friends of mine, and we went over to Hidden Lake in the springtime, and you can see Laming Payne there in his shorts. So it was a warm day, and that's Eric Colgren on the right, and we drove up on Trail Ridge Road up to the top of the road, and then traversed over on those slopes on the left onto the upper slopes of Hidden Valley Ski Area. And then you can, you know, do a car shuttle or ski down and skin back up. The road, of course, is closed during the winter. So the only way to get on this particular slope, which is very limited avalanche danger, it's basically 20 to 25 degrees, so below 30. You can skin out from the very bottom. Hidden Valley Ski Area, the old Hidden Valley Ski Area, has a nice heated warming hut with restrooms and a place to eat lunch. Although in COVID, you're not gonna wanna hang out with a bunch of people till you're vaccinated. And there's a nice little sledding hill for kids. And you can ski the lower slopes, which are easier by skinning up and skiing down, or if you have waxable skis, like tele skis, you can do some skiing in lower Hidden Valley with skinny skis, midwidth skis, or tele skis, tele and alpine touring for the upper slopes. Okay, next. Okay, the Indian Peaks are wonderful. They're in our backyard here up in NEDERLAND, and they're in your backyard too. And this is a view of the Continental Divide from the trailhead at Beaver Reservoir, which is north of Ward and before you get to Happy Valley. And it's a really nice rolling terrain, skinny ski route. You can go all the way up higher onto something like Sawtooth, but that's where you're going to need the alpine touring or tele skis. But most of the routes at Coney Flats and Beaver Reservoir, you can do with skinny skis and only advanced beginner skills. And if you go far enough, you'll get views of St. Vrain and Meadow Mountain. Okay, Kay? This is a view from Niwot Mountain. So over at the Brainerd Lake Trailhead, you have a winter parking lot, which does fill up in the winter on the weekend. Believe it or not, it's 100 spaces and it fills up. So don't get there too late. And you have a huge number of trails to choose from, skinny ski trails to advanced trails. This Niwot Mountain Trail is for advanced skiers with tele skis or alpine touring to get fantastic views of the mountains and no avalanche danger and great places to do some tele turns or parallel turns up on the upper slopes. Don't go here on a windy day because you'll get blown to Longmont and those upper trails get completely blown off too. You got to get up there right after a snowstorm and before the wind kicks in. Okay, Kay? Okay, you want to talk about this one?
Sure, Brainerd Lake Road. The thing I like about Brainerd Lake is the trails up there are segregated. There's separate trails for snowshoers and skiers. But the lake the road itself is open to everybody. So this is a great spot for beginners, families, people want to take their dogs out with them. You just go up the road. It is a gradual uphill. You start pretty high. The views are spectacular. And it feels kind of rolling. In about 2.25 miles or so, you'll get up to the lake itself. And as you can, I don't know if you have it yet, but you can see the lake and the views are spectacular. It can be kind of windy. It can get really packed down, but it's a great spot for beginners and families.
Yeah, super place. Very popular, but people do spread out pretty well. But be prepared to spend time with some of your best friends when you get up there, and a few canines as well. If you do have a dog with you, keep in mind that there are a lot of moose up here, and there have been cases where dogs off leash, the dog goes to the moose chases the dog back to the skier gets stomped. There is a Colorado Mountain Club cabin that's usually manned on the weekend, and you're typically going to be able to get hot chocolate or hot tea, and you can reserve a spot up there to spend the night. It's a wonderful cabin, and looks like you can book it at the Colorado Mountain Club website / Brainerd Cabin. So wonderful place. And that's a good place to stay. You know, you go the 2.5 miles to get to the cabin. And then the next morning, if you want to go up Audubon Peak, Blue Lake, some of the more distant routes, you've already got your 2 miles behind you. This is Kay's husband, Bill Eichler, on Left Hand Park Reservoir Road. Go ahead, Kay.
This is another great spot for intermediate to beginner skiers. You climb up to the reservoir itself, and the reservoir can be incredibly windy. Beautiful, beautiful views. And the way back down can be really fun. It can be really fast. But yeah, this is one of my favorite trails.
Yeah, and you can see there's some trees on both sides of the trail, so it does protect you from the wind better than Brainerd Lake Road. Some parts of this road can get blown off too. And you can go over to the Little Raven Trail, which is a more advanced slope, and do that loop under the CMC Trail. So it's lots of options for people of different abilities. And all you really need is skinny skis on this trail, although some people like to use the mid-width or wider skis for the more advanced Little Raven Trail. And this is the way you get to Niwot Mountain. You go up the Left-Hand Park Reservoir Road, and when the road turns right for Little Raven, you go left to go up the Niwot Ridge. Okay, okay. You can see there's good signage there. This is a view from Left-Hand Park Reservoir. Really spectacular views of the Indian Peaks. And this was a day when it wasn't windy. You can see all the snow stayed on the trees, and I was able to ski around on the top of the reservoir, not on the water part, but just some people like to go up, try to get up to Niwot Ridge from the reservoir. I don't recommend that. The trees are, I think, too tight. That's Paiute Mountain in the distance, and the ridge going over to Audubon. All right, Kay. Audubon is in the book. Paiute is not. Paiute is avalanche. Okay, the Mitchell and Blue Lake Trail. As Kay said, you go 2.25 miles to get to Brainerd Lake. Then you've got about almost half a mile to get to the trailhead for Mitchell and Blue Lake. And then you've got another couple of miles to get to Blue Lake. So you're looking at probably 10 miles, 8-10 miles round trip. I don't remember, it's in the book. No avalanche danger, spectacular views. And, you know, it's a good outing if you have a lot of energy, you've gotten an early start, but keep in mind that, you know, you got to do the 4 miles round trip just to get to Brainerd Lake, and then another 4 miles to get up to the lake and back. So it's, you know, about 8 miles, but, you know, pretty gentle rolling terrain. You can do it on skinny skis. You don't really need the tele or Telomar skis, although some people like to have those so they can ski some of the steeper stuff. Mount Toll there in the distance is avalanche danger. Some people ski that in the springtime. That's Pawnee Peak on the left. I don't have those in my book because there is avalanche danger, but I do have Blue Lake. Beautiful place to go. Requires some route finding skills. All right, Kay. Go ahead, Kay.
Sourdough Trailhead. This is the southern trailhead, and it's off the Rainbow Lakes Road. This is a great spot for snowshoers or skiers, both. It goes uphill through some hairpin turns, and then it kind of levels out for a long time, and eventually you can connect to Brainerd Lake. It's a great place for intermediate beginner skiers with strong downhill skills, because the downhill coming back down, if it's icy, can be a little touchy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, go ahead, Kay, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to talk about the parking lot, which is across the road, which is nice. You don't have to park alongside the road. There's a nice parking lot there. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a really nice big parking lot. The trail goes 10 miles in one direction. So you can do 14 miles round trip if you want to. Most people just go out a couple of miles and come back. This trailhead is at 9,000 feet. The other end of the Sourdough at Brainerd is 10,000 feet. So you're generally going to have better snow at the other end. But after a big snowstorm, you can ski from either end. And the difficulty levels pretty much a toss-up. It's a great roller coaster, rolling trail, lots of ascents, lots of descents, nothing dangerous or no avalanche danger. All right, Kay. Yeah, so Rainbow Lakes Road is a great place to go in the winter. And this is where the trailhead is for the Sourdough. And I was actually on the road on Wednesday and skied out about 2 miles out and 2 miles back. Unfortunately, I got there, it was 30 degrees. By the time I left, it was 37 degrees. And so the rocks were starting to pop out. But, you know, if we get, 5, 6 inches of snow in this next snowstorm, it's a great place for easy beginner kicking and gliding. All you need is skinny skis. If you want to, you can go 8 or 10 miles round trip all the way out to Rainbow Lakes Road campground and back. But go any distance, have a great time. It's a wonderful place. No avalanche danger at all. Great place for beginners. And this is about 7 miles north of Nederland. And you'll see the sign for the campground, and the Colorado Mountain Research Center is also off of this road. I think. All right, so this is a view from the summit of Audubon looking south. And on this particular day, I skied up about 2/3 of the way. And the final third, I had to put my skis on my pack and hike because it was rocky and dirt. So the better slopes to ski, and that's what it looked like. You can see what the upper slopes look like by looking at the summit. You know, the nice thing about Audubon is, you go out Brainerd Lake Road. It's about 3 miles to get to the bottom of the trail. And then you go up about a half a mile and you've hit some really nice slopes with no avalanche danger that usually have better snow than the summit. And so it's a nice destination for advanced skiers with AT or tele skis. And Audubon has very little avalanche danger. It's all pretty low angle, even if you're going for the summit. But don't go to the summit unless you have somebody with you. You both have avalanche beacons and shovels and probes, and you know how to dig each other out. Even though it's limited avalanche danger, you never know. Don't take any chances. I always check the avalanche center conditions for that particular day before I go high above tree line. And this is a kind of destination you want on a sunny day. Okay. Okay, the Arapahoe Lakes Trail. This is accessed from the Moffat Tunnel. You go to Rollinsville, which is 5 miles south of Nederland on the Peak-to-Peak Highway. And then you go another 4 miles west to the Moffat Tunnel. And then you can get up to Arapahoe Lakes Trail and the Forest Lakes Trail and the Heart Lake Trail. Arapahoe Lakes is the most advanced trail. It's an expert trail with very steep, it's very steep and it's tight trees. So you definitely want to have a helmet and you want to have advanced ski skills before you do Arapahoe Lakes. The Forest Lakes Trail is less difficult, wider space trees, still want to have advanced to expert ski skills and a helmet. The same thing is true of the Heart Lake Trail, although they are both easier than Arapahoe Lakes. The first mile from the beginning of the Moffat Tunnel to the first meadow is advanced beginner. And you can just do that 2 mile round trip on skinny skis. There's one spot where you may have to take off your skis, but the Moffat is a very popular place and a wonderful place to ski. And it's you know, 9,500 feet at the bottom. So it's pretty good in terms of snow cover. All right, Kay?
Yeah, and I would also say that the hardest part sometimes is getting out of your car there, because the parking lot can be incredibly windy. But once you get up into the trees a little bit, that changes and it's just delightful.
Yeah, and that's true of Brainerd Lake too. Brainerd Lake and Moffat Tunnel, you get out of your car and you get knocked over by the wind and then you get in the trees, it's not so bad. Okay, you want to talk about Caribou Ranch?
Caribou Ranch open space is just north of Nederland. And this is a place to ski just after a good snowstorm. It's low enough that you're not going to get very good snow unless it just snowed. But after a good snowstorm, it's a great place to go. It's a loop trail, and it's a good trail for beginners or intermediates or anybody. Great place for families. You can loop around. There's this historic homestead that you can visit. You're likely to see moose. You're in the aspens and the pine trees. And there's also a historic mining community, the Bluebird mine, that the county has restored. That's real fun to go see. So there's lots to see and do on the trail. You just need a good snowstorm.
Yeah, you need a good front range snowstorm. It's about 8,000 feet, which is the same as Nederland. And it's just a little north of Nederland. The Eldora Nordic Center. This is one of the beginner trails at the Eldora Nordic Center. And believe it or not, they have some great expert advanced trails as well. But if you're a beginner, take a lesson and then you can scoot up a little hill like this, go over to the stadium and practice your kicking and gliding and have a wonderful day. So it's very close and good lessons and a wide variety of trails that can keep you busy all day and good rental equipment. Okay, you have anything you want to say?
So the nice thing about the Eldora trails is, again, they have some that are only for kick and glide skiers and some that are for skaters. And they also track the trails. So you can stay in these tracks that you see there on the left side. And it means that you can go faster and makes it really fun.
Yeah, this is a skinny ski area, so you don't need any. There are some trails that are more advanced where I've taken my AT or tele skis and go up to the top of Tennessee Mountain and ski down. And so there are some really fun advanced trails as well as the beginner trails.
Yeah, and they have a very primitive cabin that you can rent. I think you can still rent it
Yeah, you can
and stay up there overnight too.
Yeah, Tennessee Mountain Cabin is rentable through the Nordic area. And it used to be about $30 a night and slept for like 5 people. You climb about 800 feet to get up there, and you need to have advanced ski skills to stay in the cabin and get up there. And you do need parking lot reservations for Eldora, whether it's Nordic or Alpine. Okay, you want to talk about Caribou?
Caribou, in order to get up to Caribou, you're going to need a car with really good snow tires, high clearance, probably 4-wheel drive. The county doesn't plow the road or take care of it, and it can be kind of tricky in the wintertime to get up there. But once you get there, there's all kinds of possibilities, places to go, trails to take. This is the parking area where some of the trails start. And you can go up to an area where you can do some turns in a bowl area. You can just go out for a ways and come back. You can circle around some of the old mining camps. There are all kinds of possibilities up there.
Yeah, so these are the easier skinny ski trails right at the parking area. And then you can see those slopes in the distance above Anchor Mine and near Pomeroy Peak and Bald Mountain. Those are for advanced skiers with tele skis or alpine touring skis and skins and a helmet. You do want to have your avalanche gear with you. Beacon, shovel, probes. Go with somebody if you're going to do those upper slopes. But I've never known it to avalanche. I've been skiing it for about 11 years since I moved up here. Very popular in the weekend.
And right near where that last slide was is where I saw my first ptarmigan. So I included a picture of a ptarmigan. They're really hard to spot, but this is a place where you actually might see one someday. They're hot. They do blend in though.
Yeah, so be sure you look around as you're going up in these trails and stop, look, and listen and see if you can see some wildlife, because you can see some beautiful things in the winter. This is also from the Caribou Townsite Trail, and you get another look at in the distance of the slopes above Anchor Mine. And, you know, that's about, I think round trip, it's about 6 miles and about 1,000-foot gain to get up on those upper slopes. Or you can just stay on the lower slopes and have a great day skiing the campground road below and not get on any avalanche danger. Go ahead, Kay. Okay, you want to talk about this one?
East Portal, this is where you start, Alan was talking about earlier, the Moffat Tunnel. And this is the trailhead at East Portal. You go in west from Rollinsville. I think it's about 4 miles on a dirt road, and you come to a big parking lot at the east portal of the train tunnel. And the lower part of this trail is very good, very easy, fun for beginners. It's a great place. I've seen lots of families up there. And snowshoers, dogs, you can take your dog up there. And it's just when you get up higher that it starts to get steep. So it's a great place if you just want to get out for a while and come back. It's a great place if you want to get up high, you can keep going. either way.
Yeah, if you want to do more advanced skiing and do some laps and steep slopes in the trees, they're available off the Forest Lakes Trail, Arapahoe Lakes Trail, and even the Heart Lake Trail. Okay. Don't be discouraged if you get to the parking lot and there are 100 cars, people spread out. And that's a view of them off the tunnel area in the distance from Mammoth Gulch Road. Mammoth Gulch Road is a couple miles before you get to the tunnel. And you can go up and back on the road toward James Peak with no avalanche danger, usually great pattern, not very many people. And there are some slopes on the west side of the road where you can ski down into a reservoir. The downside is the road only has room for about 2 cars to park, and the sheriff loves to ticket people. So you're going to get lucky to get a parking place on Mammoth Gulch Road. All right, James Peak. You can access James Peak, as I said, from Mammoth Gulch Road. That's kind of the long way around. But St. Mary's Glacier is the best place to do it. So you go a little bit up I-70 and get off before the ski traffic drives you crazy. And this is from near the summit of James Peak. There's actually some fun marmots up there, spectacular views, very limited to no avalanche danger, but you want to have your beacon, your shovel, and a friend along. And really the more avalanchy place is St. Mary's Glacier on the west side. So the summit of James Peak is actually pretty safe. Jones Pass is at the bottom of Berthoud Pass. And this is a dirt road in the summer, and it does have some avalanche danger toward the top. This was an avalanche class I took some years ago, and we trekked in to a site of an avalanche death. Some people got caught by the avalanche coming off the slopes to the right. This is way off trail, and they didn't have any training, and one of the 3 people died in the avalanche. So stay on the trail or take an avalanche class and know what you're doing before you get off trail. But Jones Pass, I would go there if there's low avalanche danger. Bierstadt's a real good destination in the winter. There's very little avalanche danger except for one section, and this is the summit. So, with some good route finding directions in the book, and you don't have to go to the summit to have some great turns. You can just go maybe a third or even a half of the way up and have a good time. And like other summits, you can hit some big sections of dirt and rocks on your way to the summit. Very popular place in the winter with snowshoers and skiers. And Guanella Pass does get plowed. It's near Georgetown. It gets plowed to a parking area, and then it's an extra mile to get onto the trail up to Bierstadt. Berthoud Pass. I haven't heard if it's good yet, but it'll be one of the first places to be good skiing in the winter because it's 11,000 feet, going up to 12,000 feet. Very limited avalanche danger in the 2 trails that I list, the West Side Trail and the East Side Trail, which are old ski area trails and very low angle. Now, as you can see in this photo, if you go off to the right, you are in an avalanche slope. If you go off to the left, you are in an avalanche slope. If you stay in the middle, you are not on an avalanche slope. So know where you're going up there, don't take any chances, and you don't need any special gear if you're staying on these slopes. But if you're going to go higher, then I say avalanche beacon, shovel, and a friend. Devil's Thumb Ranch ski area. This is near Winter Park. I was on the ski patrol here for about 10 years. That's a view of Byers Peak from one of the expert trails. There's a lot of good flat terrain for beginners. It's a great place to take a beginning lesson. You can stay anywhere in Winter Park. There's a lodge there with really good food. Unfortunately, the lodge itself, the rooms now are $300 and $400 a night and up. So it's gotten pretty pricey. but you know, there are other places you can stay in the Winter Park area and enjoy. The skiing there, I think it's about $20 or $25 a day for a Nordic pass. So it's a good skinny ski area with lots of nice trail options. There's another view of the Devil's Thumb Ranch. You can see some skiers, beautiful aspens, and that's the Continental Divide. And sometimes you can see the Devil's Thumb right up on the ridge, which is, you know, over the top of that ridge is Nederland from Winter Park. Nice variety of trails.
Yeah. So this is Alan on one of the trails at Snow Mountain Ranch, which is near Devil's Thumb. And this is, again, a tracked area. They groom the trails and a great variety of trails. Good place for beginners, intermediates, and they have some great trails for people with more advanced skills. You can do lots of things there on the ranch. You can do some dog sledding. They have a biathlon range. If you're ever curious about biathlon, you can go up and watch them if they're practicing. And then, of course, there's some great skiing.
Yeah, you can get a lesson there. It's part of the YMCA, and they are open this winter, so you can stay in a cabin or in the lodge. And they do have good COVID practices. Yeah. This is another picture of a beginner trail at Snow Mountain Ranch. Nice variety of trails. And, you know, I think it's about $20 a day for a lift ticket. Naylor Lake, this is up near Georgetown, up near Bierstadt. No avalanche danger. Excuse me. Dry air. Oh, okay. So just across the road from Bierstadt Peak, gently rolling terrain and no avalanche danger unless you go beyond the lake. And you can stop in Georgetown for treats. Okay, Northern Colorado, I lived in Fort Collins for many years. And this is Comanche Peak Wilderness. This is up by the CSU Winter Mountain Campus, actually winter or summer. And this trail is a advanced beginner to intermediate trail. No avalanche danger. Some of this did burn, so I'm going to find out what the conditions are because of the fire. Crown Point Road, also up near Cameron Pass. This is about an hour and a half west of Fort Collins. There are some good options for renting cabins up here. If you want to explore the area, Crown Point Road, no avalanche danger, good beginner's trail, kick and glide, skinny skis. Skinny skis in Emmeline Lake as well. All right, okay. Zimmerman Lake Trail, I know this did not burn in the Cameron fire. It's right across from the Cameron Peak and Indian, or the Diamond Peaks area. Fabulous snow there, and no avalanche danger at all. Spectacular views. It's about an hour and a half west of Fort Collins. There's a yurt you can rent, as well as cabins in the state park. It's just over the pass. Montgomery Pass, I've heard conflicting opinions as to whether it burned or not. Last opinion I heard was it did not burn. This is right at the top of Cameron Pass. Requires alpine touring or tele skis, and the ski bowl is fairly low angle, so no avalanche, very little avalanche danger, and a lot of fun for an advanced skier. Right near, this is north of the Never Summer Mountains, and the Never Summer Mountains are where Lake Agnes is, and there's a cabin there you can rent. You don't ski those slopes. There's a nice advanced beginner trail that goes into the cabin. that's rentable in the winter. Skinny skis. If you want to do more advanced things, like Richtofen Mountain, you can do that, but you need avalanche skills. Rabbit Ears Pass over by Steamboat. This is a backcountry skier's paradise. We have about a half a dozen trails in the book. 0 avalanche danger, wonderful snow, skinny skis, and you can have a great time, stay in Steamboat, go up to Rabbit Ears Pass, and ski for free. Really a fun place to go in the winter. Okay, south from Denver, on Highway 285, you can go down to Kenosha Pass and ski on the Colorado Trail, going east or west. If you go west, you're looking at the 14ers in the Mosquito Range. No avalanche danger. Skinny skis will do. Very popular place with snowshoers and skiers. So intermediate to advanced beginner. About an hour and a half south of Denver on 285. Boreas Pass is also in this area near Como and Fairplay. The road goes from Como all the way over to Breckenridge, and there is a hut in between that you can rent from the 10th Mountain Division, or you can just ski from either end of the pass and have great views, great snow, and very limited to no avalanche danger. There are 2 other trails nearby here called the Gold Dust Trails in the Tiriel Mountains that are also beautiful trails with no avalanche danger. Fairplay actually has some great bed and breakfast in an old hotel and restaurants, so it's a fun place to stay. The crags are west of Pikes Peak, for those of you that are in the Pikes Peak, Colorado Springs area. This is a Colorado Mountain Club outing. No avalanche danger, great out and back, about 6 miles round trip. Beautiful views of the west side of Pikes Peak. So we have coverage down to Colorado Springs, over to Leadville. South of Leadville, you have Twin Lakes, and you can ski all around Twin Lakes and have beautiful views of 13ers and 14ers with skinny skis and no avalanche danger. There's bed and breakfast and places to stay in Leadville. So, you know, it's a less expensive option by Independence Pass. So anyway, 95 trails in the book of all ranges and abilities. And we'll answer any questions now that we got in the chat session.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Ellen. Thanks, Kay. Yeah, we've got a couple of questions that I've written down. One from Jessie early on, before you guys talked about Rocky Mountain National Park. She wanted to know, you were talking about a 13er that has no avalanche danger, and she wants to know if that was James Peak or if there was some other mountain you were talking about earlier.
Okay, in Rocky Mountain National Park, there's Flat Top Mountain.
No, before Rocky. I think it was before Rocky Mountain, before the section on the Rocky Mountain National Park.
Well, there was Audubon.
I don't know.
There's a 13er with limited avalanche danger. There's James Peak, which is over by St. Mary's Glacier. Flat Top Mountain's a 12,000.
So there are a few even at that elevation that don't have too much avalanche danger.
Right.
That's nice.
Yeah, the ones I picked them because they don't have a lot of avalanche danger. There are some up by Cameron Pass as well. 7 Utes and Mahler Mountain. You know, Bierstadt, very limited avalanche danger. So the advanced trails summits that I have in the book, I picked them because they aren't high avalanche hazard. I omitted peaks that are. So you have about 20 options in the book that are good for ski mountaineering. There is a question about a ski mountaineering course being offered, and there is, unfortunately. I think it's full.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Those are there aren't usually many people allowed in those courses, and you know they aren't offered every week. So you have to be.
The Gwynn Mountain Cabin, and that's one you access by going through Eldora Ski Area.
Okay, then I wrote down, I think Owen had a question about how do you decide for a backcountry trail if it's a Nordic or an alpine touring trail? And are there trails that are good for both?
Yeah, I think, you know, that's one thing we did in our book is we say which trails are good for skinny skis and which trails are good for alpine touring or tele skis. So it varies from trail to trail. And some trails, I even say you can do either skinny skis or AT tele skis. You know, AT and tele skis with the heavy boots can really be overkill in rolling terrain. For example, I've seen people on the sourdough trail with those types of skis, but you don't really need anything that heavy. So if you don't mind dragging that extra weight, and they have gotten a lot lighter, then you can use that type of ski. But we did try to say for every trail in the book, what type of ski you can use.
Yeah, so
one example of that would be Left Hand Park Reservoir Road, where you can do that on skinny skis, you can do that on tele skis, you can do that on alpine touring, because you do get going pretty fast coming back down it. So it depends on what kind of speeds. The best conditions for alpine touring and tele skis is you're going up on the way out, you're going down on the way back. And they don't do well in rolling terrain. I mean, I have some old tele skis that aren't very wide and I can wax them. And then if you have rolling terrain, you can climb over the short hills. If you have skins on, they're going to limit your speed going downhill. So if you're a beginner and you're in rolling terrain, it's not a bad thing to keep those skins on. Then you can climb up and over those hills. But if it's rolling terrain, you're generally going to want to have skis, skinnier skis.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Tony has a question about parking at Indian Peaks if you have to pay for it.
No, Indian Peaks, Brainerd Lake is free. I think the only places in the book that you have to pay for parking is, I mean, you have to pay for access is Rocky Mountain National Park and some of the state parks that I have in the book. Golden Gate Garden State Park, and I think of the other state park we have in the book.
Mueller.
Pardon me?
Was it Mueller?
Yeah.
Down south?
Mueller State Park,
yeah.
Over by west of Colorado Springs. You would have to pay for parking. In the state park, it's $7 a day, or maybe they've upped it to 10, I forget. And Rocky Park is the most expensive, but when you pay for access, you're getting a whole week of access.
And you do have to get a reservation now for Rocky Mountain National Park, so
you're still doing
you have to do that ahead of time.
Okay.
So I haven't written down any other questions. If anybody has any questions, still, put them in the chat. I know that Rebecca wanted to know a little bit more about snowshoeing, so maybe you guys can just briefly mention what are your favorite snowshoeing routes. I mean, some of those overlap. I mean, you mentioned Brainerd. I've been there many times snowshoeing. That's one of my favorite places to go for that. But is there any other ones that you would recommend?
Well, I have the snowshoeing book with Colorado Mountain Club Press, and it's available at a this big discount. It has about over 80 trails in it for snowshoeing, and I've actually skied all those trails too. So a lot of the trails in the ski touring book are also snowshoeable. But there are so many good places to go snowshoeing. It's hard to pick out any one place. But I would say Brainerd Lake has, as Kay mentioned, trails dedicated to snowshoeing. And so you can go there on a trail for snowshoeing and have a great tour. I've seen snowshoers over by Happy Valley, and that's just north of Beaver Reservoir. And that's some great snowshoeing over there. Almost anything in Rocky Park is you can do on snowshoes. So anything that you hike in the summer, you can snowshoe in the winter. One trail I have in both books that I didn't mention is Chasm Lake. So Chasm Lake, for a more advanced and challenging snowshoe on the Longs Peak Trail, is a good destination if you're an advanced skier or if you're a snowshoer. So the trails over by the Moffat Tunnel, a lot of people snowshoe those instead of skiing them. So, you know, that's a good place to go for snowshoeing. Golden Gate Canyon State Park, we have a trail in there. Mueller State Park, the whole park, you can ski or snowshoe. Caribou Ranch, open space, good place for snowshoeing or skiing.
Rainbow Lakes Road.
Mud Lake.
Yep.
West Magnolia Trails. So, and what we say in the book too, you know, even Berthoud Pass, a lot of people prefer to snowshoe those trails rather than ski them. So there are lots of great options for snowshoers too.
Yeah, things, and as you said, I mean, you have a whole book with it. I actually have it behind me on the bookshelf. There's plenty of choices that you can explore. One thing I've just came to my mind because Joel mentioned it in the chat. You obviously have also course offerings and trips from REI. I, for instance, a few years back, took a snowshoeing trip with them for the reasons because they actually bring their equipment and you can test out snowshoes before you buy them. So I'm not sure if they do something similar for ski touring, but that's certainly an option if you want to go that route, either ski touring or snowshoeing. And REI rents skis, so you can rent skis before you invest the money because it can get expensive, as Ellen and Kay mentioned before. So
yeah, I think that's a good idea in places like Jack's Sports and Fort Collins says REI. I'm not sure. I know that the Nordic Ski, what's that shop in Boulder?
Boulder Mountain Sports.
Boulder Nordic. Do they still rent?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Not sure.
I think Neptune used to too.
That's a really good suggestion, Mike. Though I think before you buy gear, if you can rent a setup and check it out and see if you're excited about it after you've used it in the snow, and then make the investment. And
note from Chris here though. It looks like REI might be completely online in 2021. So if you're looking for any classes or day trips from them, they might have just pulled the plug and said, we're not gonna, assume that everything's normal by summer. It looks like, I haven't checked on their website, but Chris says that they're going online for 2021. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah, because they have had snowshoeing classes in the past.
Yeah, they had some on Echo Lake. It's one of their big places. So, yeah.
And the Mountain Club, we have outings going out for snowshoeing or skiing.
Oh, apparently it was CMC classes, but that's not for all classes. Is that for snowshoeing classes specifically, Chris? Because I don't think all classes for 2021 are canceled from us. At least I haven't heard that yet.
Yeah, well, I noticed that, in Northern Colorado, the CMC group in Fort Collins has outings going out, but they just want people to drive separately, wear masks, and maintain social distancing. So I would imagine that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
Probably with the Denver group as well.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it's avalanche related classes.
Right.
Which makes sense because most of them would be at the beginning of next year, 21, and you know, we're not past COVID for the at least for the first half of the year, I think. So
yeah, we'll hope we get the vaccine sooner rather than later.
Right. All right. We're a little bit past. Thanks, guys, for sticking around. Thanks, Alan and Kay, for doing this. We've recorded that webinar, so it's going to be available within the next 1 or 2 weeks, and I will send on our YouTube website, and I'm going to send out a email to everybody once that is published. So thanks so much. Check out their book. Looks like it's really great. As I said, I have the snowshoe one, and it you know, I look at it every season when the snowshoe season comes along. So
right. Yeah,
it's really it's a really good reference. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. And we just covered a tiny fraction of what's in the book. So
yeah, I bet.
Holiday season and a great time in the snow when we get it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much, Michael and CMC.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys.